When you say Sandeep Unnikrishnan, for me, I followed the entire, what had happened in, 26/11, and of course, the martyrs. So for me, he is that smiling face, not a smiling face, he's a little grim in that passport. For me, he's a passport picture, You read up about him, but there's not much about him. So when they came to you, you're now presenting the man beyond that passport picture that so many of us relate to. What was it like?
Well, there's so many things I want to say to what, you just asked. One, I was the one who presented it to everyone because it's my dream project. I presented it to Sheshi, the director. Two, that picture, it's like you said first that smiling, then you said, no, it's kind of grim. And that's true because there's fire in his eyes, but there's a slight smile on his lips. The reason for that is because, you won't believe this, we all believe military officers to be sort of like these very tagda, extremely stern. They are, but he was extremely happy. So the moment he sat down, he just smiled bright like he always does. And the guy said, sir, passport photo ke liye hasna nahi chahiye. So then he was trying to control his laughter when that picture was taken. So that, I'm glad you started with that question because that picture, in many ways, the story behind the picture represents what this movie is about. See, to me, Major Sandeep is sunshine. The hostage, a Telugu man that he saved, told me he felt when he saw him walk in, he felt like he saw Suryaputra. So, movie में हम सब सुनते हैं तो हमें लगता है dialogue बाजी है. But if somebody who's been through the attacks for 2 or 3 days just escaped in, whatever, like in those close moments and sort of hid for 3 days and then finally got saved by this man, then they say it, it's true. So he was all about sunshine and he was very bright. He'd often crack jokes in the middle of a serious situation so that he could ease everyone's nerves. And all this while being a super soldier and being a training officer in the NSG. So I was thinking that, so many people speak of like heroes that America promotes and, the kind of promotion they have of the armed forces. And I just feel like India mein log bolte hain, hamare superhero kyun nahi hote? And I just feel, we don't need a Captain America in India because we have someone like Major Sandeep. So that's kind of how we feel about him.
So when he came to you to make a movie on this, because I know 26/11 is just a facet in his life because there's more to the man than that one incident that has made him a martyr. What was it? What was the process like? What went in?
Initially, when he told me about this subject, I was not very keen because I had my own other plans. Because this is our second collaboration. So a little later, I started researching. I started getting deep into what Major Sandeep is, and that drew me into the storytelling process. And I just felt that this story has to go out to the world. And if it doesn't go, it's a mistake. It didn't feel right from inside. And then I told him, no, let's tell the story. Let's go out, tell the story. The world needs to know stories like this.
Sure. Yeah. We recently had a film on Captain Vikram Batra, which also came, it was 9 years in the making. 26/11 also happened. What was it that drew you that I want to tell this story? Because he's just someone that everyone remembers on 26/11, but yes, we don't know much about him other than that picture. And also playing a real life character, getting beyond the man, the officer, his also personal space. What was it that intrigued you, drew you? And another question, adding to this, meeting up with his family, wanting to know him, because you're playing a real life character and that can be pretty challenging.
See, the whole purpose of doing this film stemmed from this idea of wanting to tell his personal side.
Yeah.
Because you can say I'm sort of like the fan club president of Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan. If there's Big B fans, I'm a Major Sandeep fan.
I get that.
And when I'd seen his picture on the night of the 27th flash across the TV, I grew up in San Francisco. And I still remember that moment. It felt like I'd lost a brother because he looks so much like so many people in my family.
Mm-hmm.
I look a lot like him, and
yes,
I just felt, I just felt like this felt like I lost someone close to me. And then I'm reading he saved hundreds of people. I'm reading that he sort of killed a couple of guys. I'm reading that he's from the National Security. And then it all comes with a sledgehammer. He's 31 years old. So I'm thinking, okay, who is this guy? So I start following his Orchid page. मैं उनके अलग-अलग किस्म के clippings, photographs, every birth anniversary, when he got the Ashok Chakra. So, this sort of process of curiosity started happening where I just kept thinking about him a lot. And a few years in, when I tell people about these things, I started getting wary because everyone would say back, oh yeah, I only knew about the attacks, I didn't know all this. So when they'd say that, it would disappoint me a little bit. And one day in about 16 or 17, sort of my career had sort of taken off and I was doing well as sort of a lead actor in South Indian film. I realized that the only way for popular culture to know his story that I was reading that was out was to make a film.
Absolutely.
So then begins this process of how do you get much more than what's in a news article? So I reached out to Uncle, I called him. And when I called him, the first thing he did is hang up. The second time I called him, he yelled at me and then he hung up again. So third time we had a girl in the team call. So he was like, Bedi, and he's trying to explain to her when I snatched the phone, uncle, please let me come see you and auntie. So we went to their house in Yelahanka. The moment we went there, it's a very beautiful, cozy house with one floor newly built on it. That's just a museum of Major Sandeep. All of there's thousands of his letters. He wrote more than 1,000 letters, and there's just all these belongings of his. And we started meeting. By then, Seshi wasn't even on the project. He was directing a different film. So we started meeting Uncle and Amma very frequently. I make 7 trips from Hyderabad to Bangalore. The 7th trip, I feel like we have a breakthrough. I feel like I'm starting to maybe earn a bigger respect in their eyes. And they say, Uncle says, I believe you'll make a movie on my son 10%. I was shattered. I was like, 10%? Yeah, 7 trips I've made. And then we get up, we say our goodbyes. I'm walking to the elevator when Auntie stands at the door and she says, Sandeep lag raha hai.
Aww.
And that's when we knew we had permission.
Are you also planning to provide tissue boxes to everyone's going to watch it? Because we all know what's going to happen.
This is a celebration.
Yeah.
This is a celebration, but it's... I'll be very honest with you. I watched Shesha and I cried buckets and buckets and buckets, and this is the same way. This is because we all know what happened. And I'm already getting goosebumps just talking about it, so yeah.
I actually, I do want to sort of go ahead and say this. I don't want to imply that this is in any way Shershah Part 2.
No, it's not. It's very different.
Yeah, it's a very different life.
Thank you for bringing his story because it was long overdue, I would say. But anything that made you, like on a lighter note about him, like I'm just giving a shesha, like Vikram Batra was too filmy. He was obsessed with Bollywood. Anything about him that none of us know, that we will get to know, but you also were surprised, like, is he like that? Apart from his heroism.
He was a Schwarzenegger fan. So we show him watching Commando and Predator in the film. And there is a beautiful, I'll hint it, I'll tease it. There's this beautiful poster scene that people were roaring in the theater last night. We did the Vizag premiere yesterday.
Okay.
It is extremely fun. And it has something to do with Baywatch.
Oh, wow. Yeah, anyways, but thank you so much and all the very best.
Thank you.
A salute, for bringing a story and I just hope it inspires people to join the services also. Yeah. But anyways, thank you so much. All the very best. Thank you. Bye. If you've liked this interview, please like, share and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.